Welcome to From a Woman to a Leader, a podcast dedicated to discussing the challenges and providing tips for women in tech leadership. Hi, I'm your host, Limor Bergman Gross, and in each episode, we'll hear from other successful women in tech, sharing their stories, insights, and advice. Join us as we empower each other to reach our full potential in the tech industry. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of From a Woman to a Leader. I have a great pleasure today to have here Lakshmi Baskaran, and we're going to talk about how can women prepare themselves for executive roles. A little bit about Lakshmi. She is wearing multiple hats. She is a VP of Engineering, angel investor, keynote speaker, advisor for tech startups, and she is also passionate about women in tech. So, hi, Lakshmi, welcome.
Hello, Limor. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here today. And is there anything else you would like to share with our audience today about you? We'll be happy to hear.
Hi, everyone. Nice meeting you through the podcast. So I'm Lakshmi Baskaran. I am the Vice President of Engineering at Metadata. A little bit about me. Growing up, like most kids in the 80s, I was very passionate about technology. To a greater extent, I used to spend most of my summer holidays staying home and tinkering with computers instead of visiting my grandparents. And my mom still holds me accountable for that. So after my school, I went to university to do my bachelor's and master's in computer science and engineering. So when I walked out of my university, I was very particular about learning not just technology, but business and leading people, because I wanted my superpower to be around the perfect intersection of business, technology, and people. And I figured if I want to fast track my learning on these three aspects of my career, consulting is the way to go. So I spent my first 10 years working for some of the Fortune 100 companies of the world, leading $1 billion projects and executing them for my clients. So after the first 10 years, after the first decade of my career, I realized that working in Fortune 500 companies helped me to build for scale. But there is a key and important aspect of the business that I missed, which is how to build business from the ground up. Because there is a different anatomy to building business from the ground up to helping scaled businesses to scale more. So that is when I decided to pivot from working for Fortune 100s to working for small startup companies. And to this day, I still thank my stars for making that career pivot and that career decision, because having worked for startups in the last 8 years, I've learned some of the biggest opportunities and challenges that companies face and how to strategize and build around those strategies and challenges. So as a tech leader, as an engineering leader, this is something I'm very passionate about, not just building solutions for business problems, but identifying problems and opportunities for businesses and building my teams around solving for those problems.
That's wonderful. And you have a very impressive journey. And seems like you knew from the get-go exactly what you wanted and kind of directed yourself there. I wanted to ask you a question, if you may, about that. Some don't know exactly what they want. So it seems like you knew exactly what you want. That's kind of drove you to what you studied and then to the choices you make. What do you do if, what do you think should women do if they start in tech, but they don't know exactly what they want?
Yeah, very good question. And this is something I observe, not just women and men equally truly struggle to learn and understand what do they truly want? Where are their key elements of success? And one of the advice I always give people is like, be open to experiment different things. And this is a very common pattern with people who step into technology. So you start off as developers and you grow your career in a development portfolio. And then you always come through a mid-career crisis, which is very true and real. Like midlife crisis, the mid-career crisis is very true and real. You are at the perfect crossroads of your career saying that, how am I going to pivot for my career? Do I grow as a technical enabler, as a developer, or do I step into a leadership path to help build teams and scale teams? And there is no right or wrong answer. It is truly what you want to do, what you're passionate about doing, and where you could elevate your strengths better. But the challenge here is if you haven't tried both, you do not know what suits you well. You don't know where your passion lies. So the most important thing early on in your career, absorb and take the different opportunities that are coming your way. If your boss is asking you to step into a newer project where you absolutely don't have any clue about how to build, how to lead, step into it. It's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to acquire new skills. If you're not being offered one, ask for one. So the most important elements that you need to take care in your early career is like, you need to come up or you need to ask for diverse opportunities to test and trial new things. So when you're at your career crossroads, which I bet you will be, you are able to make the right decision for yourself because now you know where your passion is, what your strengths are, where do you elevate your most strong suit of your personality, and then you make the best decisions for yourself. So men and women equally, allow yourself to explore different opportunities that come your way. You might succeed, you might fail, that's okay. Regardless, you give an opportunity to learn, you give an opportunity to know where your passion lies.
That's beautiful. And I have experienced with people that I manage many times that people try to become managers and eventually they decided to go back to becoming ICs, to kind of writing code. Also, people I coached had that happening. So I think it's important to mention that even if you take a decision, okay, I want to become a manager or whatever, and you find out actually it's not what I thought it would be, that's okay. It's not the end of the world. You can change.
That's perfectly fine. You're right, Limor. As managers, as leaders, it is our role to showcase them that they were brave enough to step into leadership and they are very brave to step back into an individual contributor. And some of the best inventors in the world have led teams and have executed projects. They go back and forth and they go sideways to be able to like get that holistic knowledge and holistic skill. If you're just stuck to one role, just stuck to one path, you don't give yourself the opportunity to learn multiple tangential things that is core and very important for the success of your career.
Absolutely, yeah. And I wanted to ask you, what do women need to do if they know, they don't know exactly what they want, but they know that they want to get to the C-suite someday?
Mhm.
What kind of experiences or what are the things that they should be working on in order to eventually get to executive roles?
Okay. So, any role beyond a director plus and a VP plus, and as you said, to get into a C-suite, you need to be a master of not just where you are and your department, but you need to be curious and learn about the business and commercial side of the business. Say, for example, if you're a technology leader, it's great you have a very good technical acumen about things. You can come up with solutions to solve complex business problems. You can lead multitudes of technical teams towards building solutions. That's amazing. But that is expected of you as a technical leader. But what do you do to go above and beyond of your core expectations of the role? A leader is someone who just doesn't look deep into the area that they're responsible for, but they look broad across all the other areas of the business that is on the path to helping the business succeed. So for women, and again for men, for anyone who's looking into into C-suite roles, the sweet spot is the intersection of the core area that you're responsible for, the business and the commercial side of it. It's not just the sales leader who should be thinking about how to grow your business by bringing more customers. As a CTO, as a CMO, as a CRO, it is the role of every leader to look for ways to think about strategies to grow the business. And that is the most important sweet spot and the intersection. I believe that everyone should start learning and start garnering those skills when they are in the early to mid leadership level. If they aspire to be in the C-suite, acquire as much knowledge about the business, acquire as much knowledge about the go-to-market and the commercial aspects of the business so that you can support the business holistically and help move your career thread towards the C-suite.
That's a great perspective and great advice because especially, technical people, as we know, they tend to focus on solving technical problems and that's usually what excites them. But you cannot succeed and get to the table if you don't understand your customers, and able to prioritize and make business decisions.
200%, Limor. And it's also important for leaders to be able to give a taste of that to your teams. As you said, if you do not know why you're building something, then probably you are not justifying yourself to build the right solution for your customers. So talk about the why often to your teams. If they are working on a specific project, why is it important to the business? How does it connect to the commercial aspects of the business? Is it helping your business grow by bringing new customers on board? Or is it helping to retain some of your existing customers? So talking about the why is very crucial to build that customer centricity and the business insight within your teams. And I strongly believe it is the role of every leader to talk about the why, not just once, not just twice. I recently read a book that you need to be saying something at least 6 times in order for it to be imbibed in your team. So the constant why about the business is what will make your teams well aware of what they are building towards and how they can best solve the problem so that the why is achieved for the business.
Absolutely. And it will also motivate them more because people like to know that there's a purpose to what they're doing and why they're doing what they're doing. And sometimes even if you make decisions they don't like, they need to understand why. Why?
And the context of those decisions, right? To your point, why are we making those decisions? Might be this is a decision that you do not agree, but we would like you to commit. But in order for you to commit, you need to understand the context behind why those decisions are made. And as I said, it is the role of every leader to be able to constantly relay those decisions during using different channels, during your engineering hands, during your one-on-ones, talk about the why, talk about the purpose. So you're solving 2 problems by doing this. A, you're constantly building the momentum within your teams. And B, you're educating your teams to learn about your business and your customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell us a little bit maybe about kind of some challenges that you faced in your career and how you overcome them.
Yeah, sure. Of course, a career in leadership or any career for that matter isn't devoid of any challenges. As an engineering leader, one of the biggest challenges I encountered, like most leaders, is the sense of isolation when you're at the top of your career ladder. And that is true. That is real and true for most leaders. It's not that leaders want a lot of people around them. It's just that leaders want a good team of advisors or a good team of confidence to be able to brainstorm their ideas, to validate their thinking. And I truly missed that in my early leadership career. Why did I miss that? Because when I was looking to build that network for myself, one of the things I was looking for is people like me, people who think like me, people who look like me. And let's be honest, less than 25% of tech jobs are held by women. And only less than 20% of the 25% are women in tech leadership roles. So when I'm looking for this teeny tiny fraction of demography to be my support and to be my confidant, I didn't have them. I didn't have too many of them. So I truly struggled with the lack of this network to be able to like brainstorm, connect, and learn from them. So I had to break the barrier. I didn't have a choice but to go and ask every male influencer, tech influencer that I truly adored, that I wanted to emulate their style. And it was very hard to start off with, sending a LinkedIn message to someone and say, hey, I admire the way you're running your organization. I admire the way you speak about your business and technology. And I would love to be coached or mentored by you. It was truly hard to start off with, but I have to admit and tell this, there are some amazing men in my career who truly stepped up to mentor me, and they're now part of my personal board where they continue to inspire me, continue to motivate me to do great and do better things. So for those people who are thinking that it doesn't sound great to be asking for someone for support, someone for help, someone to be as your confidant, my ask to you is, yeah, just go ask them. The best case scenario, they're going to say yes. Worst case scenario, they're going to say no. That's okay. You can move on. And that breaking the barrier truly helped me to create my own personal boardroom and of people who are today the inspirers of some of the good things and great things I'm doing in my career.
That's a great advice. And I think that also it makes you more resilient because you're able to face rejections, which is always good in life, right? And in leadership, especially. And kind of get out of your comfort zone. So you stretch yourself and become more comfortable with reaching out to people you don't know, which is fantastic. I know that you're also involved in CTO, which is a great kind of community. So I would say communities are also very important to actually find people like you, that looks like you. So you can feel like you're not alone, because a lot of times in my career I felt alone as a woman, in leadership. And I was really looking for like-minded women.
100%. I can very much resonate with your feelings because I've been through that path myself. And you're right. I mean, the communities are a great place to start creating, building relationships. And as you said, I'm part of Shituo. I'm part of a number of other organizations, tech leadership organizations, that helps me to, like, when I'm stuck with a problem, when I need to brainstorm some ideas. Now, beyond my personal boardroom of advisors, I can reach out to more people who might be exploring similar problems or similar challenges, and it's an easy way to brainstorm. So for those people who are not part of any form of community or a platform, I highly recommend to find one. Even better, if you can't find one in a place or in a city you're in, build one. Because by building a community, you learn a lot of things. It's like building a company, and you're bringing together people like you to be part of a group, and you're creating a platform for them to share ideas, share challenges, and brainstorm ideas. So I make a point to actually be part of communities and be actively engaging in those communities. I'm sure we are all part of communities, but what are you giving to the community? And it is more about being part of it and actively being part of giving back to the community as well. Makes you known, makes your personal brand known to the community. And it's a way of like sharing your experiences to other women or other people in the group that you're part of.
Incredible. Yes, give back. I mean, I'm a strong believer in giving back. And you mentioned mentoring. I'm a strong believer in mentoring as well. And I think giving back gives you a lot of things. Confidence, as you said, you build your brand, you're part of something. Sense of, doing something good on this planet.
And that is truly important.
Yes, it is. For me, it helped me find my purpose, as I started mentoring, and I still do mentor women. mostly in engineering for free. So this is like incredible gift to give back to someone else.
Yeah, I truly believe that diversity, the DEI, is an ecosystem. At one end, you need to have leaders, hiring managers, and organizations be welcoming of women in tech roles and tech leadership roles. And at the other end, there has to be a supply, there has to be people, there has to be women or diverse candidates to be able to fulfill those roles and necessities of the business. So it is like a perfect ecosystem. Like while you're asking companies to create roles or to encourage more women to bring into their open roles, it's also important to create a pipeline of diverse candidates. So while you're giving back, observe where you will create the maximum impact. For example, I speak in schools, colleges, and universities, talking to women, talking to girls about like, what does it mean to be working in a STEM field? So girls in schools and colleges need to see people like them being able to come and confidently share what has been their career journey like in order to encourage them to step into STEM careers. So when you're giving back, be holistic about where you give back and where you can build the maximum impact, because we truly need to build this diverse pipeline of candidates to fill into the growing tech roles that we have in the workplace.
Yes, and one of the things I was struggling with was hiring women. And what happened was every time I was looking to fill a specific role, usually there was a sense of urgency. I need to hire now. And the second thing was I cannot find, women to fulfill that role, because I wanted to hire not just women, but great women that are great at what they do and they are best fit. I don't want just to hire someone that is mediocre. So it's important to make yourself out there, to be known, right? I mean, to be recognized for who you are. And I think that being involved in different communities can help you with that.
Yeah, and even if you are not actively hiring for a role, you're building the pipeline of diverse candidates that you can always lean in when you have a role open. So as you rightly said, whenever a roles open in your org, there is always a sense of urgency to bring the right candidate as soon as possible, because there is a business demand, there is a project demand, and you cannot keep the role open for too long with the expectation to fill a diverse candidate into the role. And this is where having that active pipeline always helps. Being active in the community, being able to go speak in schools, colleges, and universities, the kind of people who are up for that kind of role, and you can directly reach out to them and say, hey, here is an opening in my org and I would love you to join us. And also the most important thing is, like, when you're looking to bring diversity within your organization, you don't always have to bring candidates at the level you expect for the role. You can always bring candidates at a junior level and help them grow in their own careers. So by doing this, you're not just building a pipeline from external sources, you're also creating a huge pipeline internally as well. And I feel a great sense of accomplishment when I'm able to promote a diverse candidate within my own organization who has put all their efforts in the job or in helping the business succeed. Seeing them grow in their career is very fulfilling.
I completely share the same sentiment. There was nothing that brought me more joy than being able to hire women and also advance them. And I took a similar strategy to yours. Actually, one of the strategies that worked very well for me when there was not a pipeline for women in, more senior roles is to get interns that are women and nurture them and hire them and help them advance. That worked very, very well for me. Which leads me to my next question. Let's say you are a woman, you're experienced already. How do you get found? So one of the challenges is that actually I know that there are not a lot, but there are great women, but it's really hard to find them. So do you have any advice to women? How can they work on their brand so they are known, so they can be found for the next opportunities may come around?
Sure. We talked about it, Limor. I mean, personal branding is a very important aspect of elevating your career. But how do I personally brand myself? You don't have to be in LinkedIn always. You don't have to be in all the social media platforms. But it is important to be active, be present in communities that you choose to be present. As we discussed, identify communities within your sphere of influence and say, if you're a technology leader, be part of a technology leadership community, one or more than one, and contribute to the community, speak in those communities, offer talks. I mean, like talk about some of the problems you're solving in your workplace. So it's not just being part of it, it's also being active and being present in those communities, and giving back to those communities is the way you make yourself known. And the other important aspect is actively building a network for yourself. And how do you do that? We talked about it, like knock at people's door, at people's LinkedIn messages and say, hey, I truly admire what you're doing, and I would love an opportunity to connect with you and ask you and speak to you about the following things. 60 to 70% of people are more open and welcoming to acknowledge such kind of requests. And when you go into this conversation, make it a two-way street. It's not just about you getting information from them. It's also about you sharing what you know and what you have learned and how it is suitable for what are the problems that they are encountering, your mentors are encountering in their career. So learning about people who you are connecting with, who you would love to be mentored, learn about them, learn about their organization and challenges, and take to the table what you have learned and what you've read and how it can help solve some of their challenges. So when people think about mentorship, they mostly think about it's a relationship where a mentor shares experiences, knowledge to a mentee. Now, a good, strong, long-lasting relationships are where it is a two-way street, where it is a conversation, where it is a learning from both sides, not just from mentor to mentee.
Absolutely. And as a mentor, you always learn new things, and you become better as a leader, right? Because becoming a good mentor means you know how to ask questions, you know how to listen, which are all qualities of great leaders.
Oh, isn't it, Limor? Very true. Like when you mentor people, I mean, I feel joy in mentoring people because yes, I'm able to share my experiences, but I can learn 10x times than just learning from my own role, my own job. I'm learning from 10 other mentees about their challenges and experiences, and brainstorming solutions with them makes me learn as well. So mentorship is an excellent way to exponentially learn and advance in your career.
Yeah. All for mentorship. I wanted to touch base about leadership and effective leadership. Can you share kind of, what do you think are the key traits crucial for effective leadership? And maybe what are some differences between how men and women lead?
One of the most important traits or aspects for effective leadership is contextual awareness and contextual decision making. You have been a leader in your career. Tell me the number of times you were presented a problem where you have an easy option A and option B, and you can pick one and say, let's do this. Not often the case, right? Whenever you are presented a problem, there are more than a handful of ways to solve the problem. And the biggest challenge that leaders encountered is which among these solutions, or what is the strategy that has the high likelihood of solving the problem, or that has the high likelihood of succeeding. And that is something that leaders battle day in and day out. So as a leader, the most important thing is to be contextually aware of the problem. So when you're faced with a problem, do not jump into finding a solution based on your confirmation bias. We are all humans. We are all conditioned to think a specific way. So we naturally have a confirmation bias to say, this is the right way to solve a problem. But if you're not looking at the context of the problem, most likely you're not making the right decision for your business. So the most important characteristic that you want to learn as a leader, it is the hardest thing to learn as a leader, is always to have a contextual awareness to a problem. Constantly challenge your own thinking, your own decision-making bias, which will make you aware and situationally aware so that you can help your business and your teams make the right decisions. So this is about the decision making. Once you've made a decision, you have to communicate the decision. And when you're communicating the decision, the contextuality even takes a bigger role. If a decision needs to be communicated to a team of engineers, your message should be different from the same decision that you would communicate to your board. Your board is interested in the commercial scale and success aspects of a business. So the way you communicate a decision to your board should be different from your engineers, where they're interested to learn about the why and the what of the decision. So it's not just important to have contextual awareness when you're making a decision, it's even more important to use contextual awareness and contextual thinking when you're communicating the decision. I was recently mentoring a gentleman, and he was so disappointed that he had to say something multiple times to his team before it just becomes their way of working. And I had to tell him that you need to tell your team at least 6 times before you feel frustrated and annoyed about them not being able to absorb the communication, right? So it's about communicating the right way and communicating it too often in multiple channels and in multiple layers of communication so that you're imbibing that thinking within your team so that it becomes second nature for them to think that way. So to answer your question, what are the most important traits is contextual thinking and decision making. When you've made the decision, be contextually aware of who your audience is and how you need to communicate to them.
Definitely. I mean, knowing the audience is so important in everything you do. Always people tend to think inwards about themselves and less about the other people. So definitely this is critical. And yeah, I can speak with you for hours, but we are about to kind of get to the end of this episode. So is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience?
Yeah, I mean, my suggestion and my advice to women, men, everyone who is looking for a step into leadership roles, be aware, ask for support, ask for help, learn what your strengths and what your challenges are. You need to be open to ask for feedback, get feedback, synthesize and process the feedback, and take the help of someone, your peer, your good friend, your family member, or even better, a coach who will have an unbiased opinion about how to address your challenges or how to address your setbacks. It's not impossible. It's definitely possible. If I can do it, if many others can do it, so can you. But the core tenet here is like being aware of what you want to achieve and being more open to reflect about your own strengths and challenges and asking for support and help so that you can get that in a timely fashion. That is going to help elevate whatever you want to do.
Perfect, Lakshmi. This is a great summary. And how can people find you?
Oh, I'm active on LinkedIn. Lakshmi Baskaran at LinkedIn is the best way to reach me.
Perfect. So I will definitely make sure to put your LinkedIn handle in the show notes. Thank you so much, Lakshmi. It was an insightful conversation. Really enjoyed our time together.
Likewise. Thanks, Limor. Thanks for having me on board.
Thank you for listening to another episode of From a Woman to a Leader. This is your host, Limor Bergman Gross, and I want to encourage you to reach out to me on LinkedIn, Limor Bergman, and let me know. What do you think about the episodes? Feel free also to comment on Apple Podcasts and tell me, what do you want me to talk about? Which guests do you want me to bring? I really appreciate that, and have a wonderful day.